We're in the beautiful Smoky Mountains of eastern Tennessee for a lot of chopping, sawing, and axe throwing on lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, professional quality, ask any pro. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Bodog, be a player. Red Pine Wilderness Lodge, simply unreal fishing.
We're here in the Wares Valley at the second annual Oktoberfest just outside of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park in Tennessee. Hi, I'm Bill Deba. I'm with my co-host and lumberjack sport analyst Rod Cumberland. And Rod, it's nice to see 1/3 of the way through this competition. Young gun like Matt Koger leading all these crafty veterans.
That's right. Surprised that he's so young, but of course Tennessee's not too far away from West Virginia. And of course, if you follow lumberjack sports at all in the last half a century, you know that the Kogers from West Virginia are the best in the business. Matt lives fairly close to Melvin Lentz, and of course, he's been at the sport for 40 years, all kinds of experience, and he's passing it all on to Matt.
Now this week we're covering the standing block and the axe throw, but we're also covering the women's single buck. The show organizer, Nancy Zaleski, is putting on the show, but she's also got to be one of the favorites in the women's single.
No question at all. A lot to juggle, of course, in one day, taking registrations, making sure the show runs good, but Nancy Zalewski is the best in the business when it comes to single buck. My money's on her to win that today.
You know, we got a leaderboard chock full of quality competitors. Matt Koger, you call him the young gun. Actually, everybody refers to him as a young gun. Leading guys like Sullivan, Koger Jr., Melvin Lenz, and Dave Jewett. 250 points. He won the stock style last week. He won the double buck with his partner Melvin. But we're going to change gears a little bit this week right now in the first event, the women's single buck, 18 inches of white pine. This is a tough event for these women. You know, it's a double bucking saw, basically a handle on one end. They're pulling and doing all the work on their own.
Bill, this is a tough event for me, let alone these ladies here. We have Chrissy Ramsey and Trisha Jones going to start out in this. Of course, the more experience you can get from guys like that have done it for a while, like Mark Jones and Jamie Koger, the better off you're going to be. And of course, Trisha Jones has that advantage where she's actually learning from those guys right now.
Well, Chrissy Ramsey, she jams a raker by not keeping the saw level right at the beginning. She's really struggling. That saw is really long. Now, Trisha Jones is short stroking, but she's got a shorter saw.
That's right. Very short single buck saw, which is actually smart to do, Bill. When you're starting out, you don't have to worry about throwing a full 6.5 foot of blade through that wood. She's doing a great job here with a shorter saw. Good strokes. She's actually not rocking the saw too badly. Doing a great job. Going to put a time in here of 22.7 seconds.
It seemed pretty flawless to me. I mean, you had nice short choppy strokes to get going, and once you got going, did you have any difficulties at all?
No, I had a really good practice session with my husband and Jamie Koger last Sunday. I've been having some problems on my pullback because I've been lifting, but keeping it smooth on back and just lifting a little bit, it's really been helping me out a lot. The wood was really great today. It was working with me.
What kind of things is Mark telling you during your cut? What kind of things? I didn't hear a lot of screaming and yelling, but he's got to be whispering something to you.
Well, usually it's keep it level, just pull straight back. You got to use your whole body, throw your shoulder forward, because most of my strength's in my legs. So trying to throw my body in to use that because I don't have the upper arm strength that he has.
Holly, you're getting set for the women's single buck a little bit later on, and just tell me what you're doing here in preparation.
I'm just getting the handle put on my saw here, so I'm attaching with bolts and nuts. Make sure this is tight so it doesn't have any play when I'm sawing.
You've got a couple of different sets of holes there. How do you determine which set of holes you use?
Well, I generally use the top set of holes. You can have a little bit different pressure on the saw if you use the upper versus the lower set. So I'm most comfortable running it with the upper set of holes here.
Well, you determine where your handles are going to be. That also determines the angle in which you're going to saw. If you're sawing at a bad angle, according to your height, you're going to end up jamming the rakers here. Now, this next team, we got Christy Koger taking on Holly Waterfield. 22:77 is time to be set by Trisha Jones.
That's right. Actually, Bill, a lot of things in lumberjack sports, you got to have your tools fit to the competitor. So if you're a tall guy, you want a longer handle. The same in the sawing event. In a single buck, if you're a big, tall competitor, you get a long reach, you want a longer saw. You see over here with Holly Waterfield, she's a smaller person, but she's actually got a long saw there.
And she's not really using part of it now. She catches a raker right now, being in a bad that angle, but you can see closest to her hand, she's not using a lot of the saw there. Christy Koger, a little bit shorter saw, she's using it all. She's going to win this heat.
That's right. She's pulling a good blade, using almost a full length of the blade. Just caught her raker a bit, but here she comes. You're going to come off here. 28 seconds.
Good enough for second place at this point with 28 seconds, but still 2 quality Sawyers to come. Christy, I noticed you start your saw right in the middle of the saw, right in the belly of the saw. Some people start at the end or the beginning with a pull stroke, or you're starting with the saw right in the belly. Can you tell me why?
I like to get a couple short strokes in before I go long, and I think a lot of people that start a little more toward the front will do a half and go, but I do a couple halves and then go. It just works better for me.
And at the end, your saw started to shatter a little bit. You had some struggles at the end. What happened there?
Well, I always have trouble at the end, and I mentally said I don't want to have trouble at the end today, so I just kind of adjusted and went for it, and I think I get too anxious.
Sometimes the most difficult time is right at the very end when there's very little wood to be cut and you're still trying to anticipate the finish, but you got to keep the thing level.
That's right. And of course, when you have that small amount of wood, you've got very few rakers actually touching in there, a higher chance of them actually catching.
Well, this last heat is now Nancy Zaleski taking on Lindsay down, time to be 22.77. Both these women are going to take that time down. I'm going to guarantee it.
Well, look at on the left-hand side. Look at Nancy pulling a big lungs, doing everything technically correct. Look at that blade drop.
Reaching all the way in. She's only sparing a couple of inches at the end of her blade. Nancy Zaleski wins the women's single buck with a 14.60. Explain to me the importance of cutting wood on the pull stroke, not just the push stroke.
Cutting wood on the pull stroke is huge for me. I tend to cut wood on the push stroke real easily, and the more push stroke wood you cut, the more the nose of your saw falls. I'm using a saw today, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Lawrence O'Toole in Australia, doesn't know I'm using it. So it's gonna be a good day, but it's heavy. So it's really key for me to keep that angle on the saw the same so that I don't hook the saw and get jammed.
So is the amount of sawdust coming out on the pull stroke equal to the amount on the push stroke? It must be difficult to make it equal.
It's difficult to make it equal, but I try my best to make it equal because, again, if I hook it, I'm done. I mean, that takes everything out of you to try to get it moving again in the middle of the block, so I try to make it equal both directions.
Well, she borrowed the saw and didn't tell the guy who owned it, but it worked. It was a combination that won with a 14.60. Nancy winning the single buck.